Grace and peace to you from God our Creator and our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ.
Amen.
Not too long ago, I participated in a gathering of pastors from the greater Sacramento area. And there were all kinds of Christian denominations and a whole bunch more of non-denominational folks who enjoyed a most excellent lunch and fellowship. All the way until the point when we started talking about baptism. The keynote speaker asked us to talk about, well, when we received Christ into our hearts and how it felt when we were baptized. Now, my neighbors at the table spoke passionately about their particular baptisms, which were really exciting to listen to. One baptism happened about 20 years ago, and since that point, he had 8 baptisms subsequently after that. And then my other neighbor to my left had his baptism, first one, at about 10 years ago, and he's had about 3 or 4 since that time. Sweet, I thought. What incredible experiences they had. And then it was my turn. How about you, Scott? One pastor said to me. Well, my baptism happened about 46 years ago, and I guess there were a lot of family around, and one person, wait, stop right there. Seriously. You had your baptism about 46 years ago. I mean, you can't be older than 46, because if you are, you look amazing. My response was, well, thank you. No, I'm 46, and I don't remember a single thing about my baptism because I was a baby. And this is where I got a little snarky with my folks around the table. I don't remember anything because I was a baby, and, well, it took the first time. Awkward silence. And then one of my neighbors at the table blurted out, "Oh, Scott, he's one of the Lutheran pastors in the area." And I said, "Yep, we're the greatest church in the whole area, and don't you forget it." Now, the reason I bring this up is I want to begin by saying that I'm not a superhero when it comes to baptism. I'm just a pastor who loves baptism. Yet the point of the story is that when baptism becomes suddenly all about ourselves, baptism, well, we forget the intention of what baptism becomes all about. Instead, baptism becomes about me. Instead, baptism should be a public ceremony, first and foremost, when it comes to just God, through Jesus Christ, who names us, claims us, and proclaims us as a child of God, worthy to be loved in a holy relationship and within our daily life. Any other baptism that does not adhere to God alone is just water being dumped on your head. Furthermore, it is an interference to what God has in store for us. We see this in our gospel for today. Here we have Jesus coming to the River Jordan to be baptized by John the Baptist. Now, some of us who perhaps are wondering, why does Jesus need to be baptized in the first place? He is the Son of God. However, he does it for a reason, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Verse 14, it says, trying to deter Jesus for doing such a thing, John says this, "I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" Now, at this point, I wish Jesus would have just said, "Well, yeah." But no, he says these words in verse 15. Let it be so now, for it is proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness. And then suddenly John agreed. I guess he understood. Now, Jesus' response has always been a struggle for me. I never really understood these words until I understood how it fits into the greater context of the whole book of Matthew. Here, Jesus comes to the Jordan. He comes to John, yes, to be baptized. This baptism that Jesus experienced was a continuation of Jesus' fulfillment of resurrection. What do I mean? In order for us to grasp who Jesus was as the Messiah, he did many different things. First, he was born in a manger. And then he gets baptized. And then to understand his teachings and miracles, as well as his sacrifice on the cross, followed by his resurrection, he did all of these particular things. God, through Jesus, had to show us what it meant to be human. What it meant to be human in our brokenness and in our wholeness. Yet John the Baptist didn't understand this at that particular time, so he tried to prevent Jesus from being baptized. But Jesus needed to be an example for us to follow. John was a stumbling block, as we hear Peter does to Jesus in Matthew 16, where it says, "Get behind me, for you, or get behind me, Satan, for you are a stumbling block for me. For you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." So I ask this question to all of you: how often do we try to prevent God from happening in our daily life? How many times do we stand in the way to let grace make us whole, time and time again? How many times do we figure we know what's best for us than God does? For Jesus is the fulfillment of all righteousness. In other words, Jesus is the fulfillment of all that is right for us to truly live. Verse 17 of our gospel. "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." So I want you to take that word "son" and change it out to your name. This is my, whatever my name, this is Scott, with whom I am well pleased. We need to hear those words on a regular basis, not only from our loved ones, but from the one who has created us, who sustains us through all things, who loves us through a cross and by a gift of grace. God is life. God makes us right. So this week, I'd like for you to ponder on how you are standing in the way of God, how you are preventing God from happening. So let God flow forth through you like water that comes through your hand. For you are God's beloved. Receive this. Name this, because God has done so at your baptism. Amen.